Rex was seconds away from losing everything. One decision inside a closed-door meeting could have ended his career forever, sent him back to a K-9 unit that already made up its mind, and pulled him away from the one person who fought hardest to keep him close. But what happened next nobody saw coming. Not the officers in that room, not the K-9 unit that thought their word was final, and definitely not the fans who thought they knew exactly how this story would end. Charlie Hudson was not going to let that happen. And the choice he made in that moment changed everything for Rex, for their partnership, and for the entire direction of the show. The tension in that room was impossible to ignore. Rex had just done something extraordinary. He saved a child's life and helped track down the person responsible for killing his own partner, a loss that would have broken most dogs and left them unable to work again. Instead, Rex pushed through it, stayed focused, and delivered results that should have earned him recognition, maybe even a medal for bravery. But the K-9 unit did not see it that way. To them, none of that mattered. Their decision was already made before the meeting even started, and the verdict was final. Rex would not be reinstated. Not now, not ever, no matter what he had just proven in the field. For anyone watching, that alone felt unfair, almost cruel, considering everything Rex had just been through and everything he had just accomplished for the department. Charlie could not accept that answer. From the moment the words left the officer's mouth, his reaction was immediate and unfiltered. He did not hide his frustration, he did not pretend to understand the logic behind the decision, and he definitely was not going to stand quietly while Rex was pushed aside after doing everything right. This was not just about a working dad losing his job. This was about loyalty, about the bond that had formed between Charlie and Rex through everything they had survived together, and about a system that seemed more interested in rules than in results. Charlie's voice cracked with disbelief as he tried to argue the point, listing everything Rex had just done, reminding the room that this was the same dog who found his partner's killer just hours earlier. But the officer in charge was not moved. The decision, as far as the K-9 unit was concerned, was not up for debate. Then came the twist nobody expected. Just when it looked like Rex's story with the department was over, the officer revealed something that changed the entire conversation. Rex would not be returning to the K-9 unit. That much was true. But he would not be leaving the force either. Instead, he would be reassigned, permanently partnered with Charlie himself, working side by side with him day and night. This was not a small technicality. This was a complete shift in how Rex's future would look, and it came with serious conditions attached. Charlie would now be fully responsible for Rex at all times, not just during cases, but in every sense of the word. There would be no backup plan, no safety net from the department if something went wrong. Everything now rested on Charlie's shoulders, and that was not even the most important part of the twist. This new arrangement was not permanent. It was a trial, something that could be taken away just as quickly as it was given. And it would be reviewed constantly by people who had already shown they were willing to make cold decisions when it came to Rex. Every move Charlie and Rex made from this point forward would be watched closely. One mistake, one bad call, one moment of hesitation, and this fragile second chance could disappear completely. The officer made that painfully clear before Charlie even had time to process what was happening. This was not a celebration. This was a warning wrapped inside an opportunity, and Charlie understood exactly what that meant. He had gotten what he wanted, but not without conditions that could crush everything at any moment. What made this twist so gripping was not just the decision itself, but how conflicted the reaction to it truly was. Charlie should have felt relief. Instead, there was hesitation in his voice, a heaviness that came with knowing this responsibility was now his and his alone. The officer did not hide his own doubts either, making it clear that he was not comfortable with any part of this arrangement, despite agreeing to it. That single detail changed the entire mood of the moment. This was not a happy ending. This was the beginning of something much more complicated, a partnership built under pressure, sitting on unstable ground from the very first second it was approved. For fans who had watched Charlie and Rex grow closer over time, this was the moment everything became personal. Rex's future no longer belonged to a department or a unit. It belonged to Charlie, and that responsibility was heavier than anyone in that room wanted to admit out loud. The first few days after the decision were nothing like Charlie expected. He thought getting Rex back would feel like a victory, like something worth celebrating, but instead it felt like walking on a tightrope with no net underneath. Every officer in the building seemed to have an opinion about what had just happened, and not all of those opinions were kind. Some saw it as favoritism, a bond between a man and his dog getting special treatment that other officers never would have received. Others whispered that Charlie was setting himself up for failure, taking on a responsibility that came with no support system and no room for mistakes. Charlie heard all of it, even the comments that were not meant for his ears, and he carried that weight quietly, refusing to let it show on the outside. But inside, doubt was already creeping in, and it was only the first day. Rex, on the other hand, seemed unaware of the storm surrounding him. He trusted Charlie completely, following his lead without hesitation, staying close to his side as if nothing in the world could break that bond. That trust made everything harder for Charlie in a strange way. It was one thing to fight for Rex when the outcome was uncertain. It was another thing entirely to now be the only person standing between Rex and losing everything all over again. Every look Rex gave him, every moment of loyalty, only reminded Charlie how much was riding on getting this right. There was no manual for this kind of partnership, no guidebook explaining how to prove to a skeptical department that this decision was not a mistake. Charlie was figuring it out in real time, and the department was watching every single step. The first real test came faster than anyone expected. A call came in, a situation that needed immediate response, and suddenly Charlie was standing at a crossroads. Did he bring Rex along on official duty this early, when nerves were still raw and trust from command was still fragile? Or did he play it safe, leave Rex behind, and risk sending a message that even he was not confident in this new arrangement? Charlie made the harder choice. He brought Rex with him, knowing full well that anything less than perfect performance could be used as proof that this partnership was a mistake from the very beginning. That decision alone showed just how much pressure Charlie was willing to put on himself for the sake of keeping Rex close. What happened during that call became the real turning point of these early days. Rex performed exactly the way Charlie hoped he would, sharp, focused, and completely locked in on the task at hand, as if he understood exactly what was riding on this moment too. There was something different about the way Rex worked with Charlie compared to how he had worked within the structured K9 unit before. This felt less like command and obedience and more like genuine partnership, two individuals reading each other without needing words. Officers who had doubted the decision started noticing that difference too, even if they were not ready to admit it out loud just yet. Small moments, quiet nods of approval. A shift in tone from people who had been skeptical just days earlier. It all started building slowly. But it was building. Still, not everyone was convinced. And that tension refused to disappear. There were murmurs about the review process, reminders scattered throughout the department that this arrangement could be reversed at any time. Charlie could feel eyes on him during every case update, every report he filed, every interaction with Rex in front of other officers. It became clear that proving this partnership deserved to last was not going to be a one-time thing. It was going to require consistency day after day, case after case, with absolutely no room for a single serious mistake. The pressure did not fade as the days went on. If anything, it grew heavier, because the longer this trial period continued, the more people expected something to go wrong eventually. And in a department already primed to expect failure. It felt like it was only a matter of time before that expectation was tested in the worst possible way, the moment everyone feared eventually arrived. And it came in the form of a case far more complicated than anything Charlie and Rex had handled together so far. This was not a straightforward call with a clear answer. It involved conflicting evidence, a suspect who seemed to disappear the moment officers got close, and a timeline that kept shifting the more they investigated. for a department already watching this new partnership under a microscope. This case became the perfect opportunity to either prove that Charlie and Rex belonged together, or to confirm every doubt that had been building since the very beginning. Charlie understood the stakes immediately. This was not just about solving a case anymore. This felt like the actual test the review board had been waiting for. Early into the investigation, something did not add up, and it created a moment of hesitation that had never existed between Charlie and Rex before. Rex picked up on a scent, something significant, but the direction it led toward completely contradicted the working theory Charlie and the rest of the team had been building. In the K9 unit, disagreements like this would have been settled by protocol, a clear chain of command deciding how to move forward. But this was different. This was Charlie's call, and only his. Did he trust Rex's instincts over the theory the entire team believed in? Or did he play it safe and follow the path everyone else expected him to follow? Especially with so many eyes already watching for a reason to end this partnership, that hesitation did not go unnoticed. Another officer, someone who had never fully supported the decision to pair Charlie and Rex together in the first place, seized the moment to raise concerns, suggesting that maybe Charlie was too emotionally attached to trust his own judgment clearly anymore. The accusation stung not because it came out of nowhere, but because deep down Charlie could not completely dismiss the possibility that it held some truth. Was he following Rex because it was the right call? Or because some part of him needed Rex to be right? Needed this partnership to succeed no matter what? Even if it meant ignoring warning signs that a more objective officer might have caught. That internal conflict became just as dangerous as the case itself. And for the first time since this trial period began, Charlie truly questioned whether he was the right person to be making these decisions at all. In the middle of that uncertainty, Rex did something that changed everything. Without waiting for direction, without hesitation of his own, Rex acted on instinct, following the scent trail that everyone else had dismissed, leading Charlie directly to evidence that had been missed completely. It was not luck. It was exactly the kind of connection Charlie had been fighting to prove existed between them since the very start. That breakthrough did not just crack open the case. It became undeniable proof, right in front of the people who had been waiting for a reason to say this partnership did not work. Rex had not just performed well. He had done something no other dog in that department could have done in that exact moment. Because no other dog shared the bond Rex and Charlie had built through everything they survived together. But even as the case moved closer to resolution, the tension refused to fully disappear. Success on one case was not enough to erase months, maybe years, of institutional skepticism overnight. The officer who raised concerns earlier did not immediately back down, insisting that one good outcome did not prove this arrangement was sustainable long-term. Charlie heard the warning clearly. This was not the end of the scrutiny. If anything, succeeding this dramatically only raised the stakes even further, because now more people were watching closely, waiting to see if this had been an isolated moment of brilliance or the beginning of something the department would eventually have to accept as permanent. For Charlie and Rex, there was no room to relax. The trial period was far from over, and the next mistake, whenever it came, would be judged even more harshly than before, just when it seemed like things were finally settling into a rhythm. Everything changed in a single moment nobody could have predicted. The formal review board, the group with the power to end this partnership entirely, called an emergency meeting. No warning, no explanation given ahead of time, just a demand for Charlie to appear immediately. That kind of urgency only meant one thing. Something serious had happened, or someone had reported something serious, and whatever it was enough to threaten everything Charlie and Rex had worked to build over these past difficult weeks. Charlie walked into that room with his stomach in knots, replaying every recent decision in his head, trying to figure out what could have gone wrong enough to trigger this kind of reaction from people who were already looking for reasons to pull the plug, the accusation. When it finally came, hit harder than Charlie expected. A complaint had been filed claiming that Charlie had allowed Rex to act outside proper procedure during the recent case, bypassing protocol in a way that could have put the entire investigation at risk if things had gone differently. It did not matter that the case had been solved successfully. It did not matter that Rex's instincts had led to the exact evidence needed to move forward. According to this complaint, results were not the point. The point was whether Charlie was following the rules he had agreed to when this trial arrangement was approved in the first place, and according to this accusation, he was not.